If there's any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rules, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way.
Hey homies, what's up? Ryan Wynn here with another episode of Late Night Inks. And tonight we're going to be inking some of this Divinity sketch cover commission that I did, that I penciled last week. You can see here Abram Adams sitting in meditation. The benevolent astronaut from Russia in the Valiant universe. This was a project that I inked. I had left comics, I had left mainstream comics. I had done a run at DC and didn't really want to continue as a mainstream inker, so I left for a while and started doing my indie stuff like Death Betty, and then I was doing like commercial work too, like toy packaging design and storyboard stuff for directors and things like that. And then Valiant came calling, and I took the gig. Trevor Hairsign's pencils were amazing to work on, and I had inked him when I was Danny Mickey's assistant. Danny had inked him on I think it was like an Ultimate Sinister 6 book. Anyways, we can talk more about stuff after I explain the tools. I'm using trusty old deleter and a trusty old deleter pen holder that I found that has seen some days, but I wanted to try it out again. The deleter is it's a manga nib. It is from Japan, and it's a little bit stiffer than the Hunt 102. It's consistently a little bit sharper, but the sharpest you will get is a super sharp 102. So I do like using the nibs on faces, and I like to do a slow line on the eyes, and the deleter is, like I said, it's a stiffer pen, so you can bear down a little and you can go slow and still get a clean line. Let's do it really thin for that under eyelid. And here I'm kind of using the side of the nib because it's razor thin. So I don't really throw the nib the way I throw my pencil lines. I throw a lot of my pencil lines like this, and I did used to ink that way. It's the way a lot of people ink. And sometimes I will do it. In fact, I'll do it right here. So this is how I pencil it. And that's actually a little more of a like a Danny Mickey, Todd McFarlane kind of style. And I worked with Danny Mickey for a while. That's the first place I saw Trevor Hairsign's pencils. And man, I was really into them, and he was somebody that was sort of on my hit list, my bucket list for pencilers. So when I got the chance to ink him at Valiant, that was a real dream come true. You're gonna hear me not always have fairy tale stories about the comic book industry because it's not a fairy tale place. But this was an awesome opportunity, and I jumped at the chance and I gave it my all. I got asked to try out for the book. I had already done some work for Valiant, excuse me, on a Quantum and Woody book. We're going razor thin here. And there was me and 4 other artists that tried out. And I didn't know at the time that it was a tryout. I thought I was just kind of being tested to see if I was fit. I mean, I knew it was a tryout, but I didn't know that they had gone to a bunch of people. And then some people wrote to me and told me that they were mad that I got the job because they had tried out for it. And some people had tried out for it and were glad they didn't get the job because they didn't really like Trevor's work. I didn't know what was going on. I was just stoked. My friend David Barron was going to be coloring it. and that was going to just be a really kick-ass team. He's got a great costume that kind of reminds me of a Kirby design through Jim Starlin. And the design was done by Louis LaRosa. And the color design was done by Brian Reber, who is now coloring over at Marvel. He colored the Exo series I worked on, and he colored the Archer and Armstrong series I worked on. What else did we work on together? I think we did some Ninjak stuff together. We also worked at DC together long before Valiant. He was a colorist on the Batwing series that I inked. I think Marcus Toe. Yeah, Marcus Toe was the penciler. You can probably hear my cat talking in the background. Maybe not. Alright, so you see we can get some nice fine lines. His eyes are nice and clean. I don't want to go in and do... I might add a few eyelashes, not to feminize, but just to kind of give detail. It looks like his mouth is open. I need to go in and fix that a little. Let's see, we can just make his upper lip actually have a shadow. There we go. And we'll add a little heavier line under the nose there. There we go, and we'll add a little bit of shadow when we go into brush. We'll add a little shadow in there. So Divinity is a cool series. Valiant didn't have Solar in their relaunch that started in 2012, and they needed sort of a cosmic character. So by 2014, Matt Kent and crew had come up with this Divinity character. I had thought I was leaving comics, and then they came up to me at a convention and were like, hey, you should ink for us. We're different, we're cool, we're indie. And I always like indie more than mainstream. So I went for it. I was lucky I was at the same convention with them, and I was lucky I was kind of in the right frame of mind to go work for them. Did you guys see Bloodshot? What'd you think? Let me know below. I'm curious. I thought it was better than I expected, but it just didn't really feel like Bloodshot. It's just kind of a cool action movie. Didn't feel like the Valiant universe, but it was cool that they had the opportunity. Alright, so that's part one of our inking Divinity. I'm going to go up and clean up some of these lines afterwards. The nib's doing a pretty decent job on this sketch cover. So we're going to also use the hand on the nib on the hands, and then we're going to do pretty much the rest of it with brush. So we're going to keep talking Divinity, we're going to keep talking some of my time at Valiant, and until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, take it easy.
And if you haven't already, head over to alternaaccess.com and check out the book I wrote, Gods and Gears, with art by Dean Kotz and letters by Wes Loker. Issue 4 is out soon.
Stupid cat.
Newsprint. It's a hell of a drug.